Okay, so I am here with Susan today, and Susan has done over 12 weeks of the Simplicated Sugar-Free program, and I wanted to check in with her and to see how have things gone and try and answer some questions that some of you out there might have about wanting to go sugar-free. So, Susan, what led you to want to become sugar-free in the first place?
That's a great question, Bethany. Thank you for interviewing me. I'm happy to be here today. What led
Sure.
me to be here was with everything that's been going on with COVID and just the concerns that are happening in society, I really wanted to optimize my health. And I've also had surgery just before COVID broke out, and I really wanted to make sure that I could do everything that I could possibly think of that was within my control to be able to improve my health outcomes and to improve my immune system and just be as absolutely healthy as possible, mentally and physically.
So the timing was good for you.
It was excellent.
Yeah. So what were some of those benefits that you noticed, and where along the journey did you notice them? Did you notice them right away, or did it take a while?
I noticed them, it was pretty immediate. I was really surprised by that. I did have part of being my best self was to lose 10 pounds. And I knew that that would help me post surgery too, just to take pressure off my back and to just make me feel better mentally as well. And I noticed within the first few weeks, I lost, I think, like 5 pounds in a matter of like maybe a week and a half, and I've been able to take off 10 pounds, and I've dropped 3% of body fat.
Nice.
So that's been really great. I felt very good about that.
Yeah. Were there other benefits that you noticed that were not related to weight?
Yes, I would say that, well, first my taste buds changed, which was really interesting. So as I was, tasting things that I normally would never have associated as being sweet, I found them sweeter than I expected it to be. And I also felt like I had a lot more clarity and just the ability to focus. So I feel like I've had more intentionality and more focus. And that's been an amazing byproduct that I wasn't, you hear about things like that, but until you actually experience it. And my skin, I feel like my skin it's really clear, and I've had feedback, oh, your skin's glowing. And I'm like, oh, well, that's awesome. So
I
there are
could notice.
things that keep happening. I think I could go on and talk about it, but yeah, it's been very good.
That is fantastic. I could actually notice the glowing even over the Zoom call. I could see the difference. So,
It's good.
yeah, and that's one thing that we don't often think about, right? Even if you don't have any trouble with your skin, your skin will improve and get better once you get off the sugar. So that's really cool that you noticed all of that.
Yeah, I did. And other people have noticed it too, that even just like on Zoom calls or my daughter has particularly noticed it. And she has, so that's been another amazing byproduct, is that when she started to see results for me and just started to see some of the changes, both emotionally and physically, she decided that she wanted to do this too. And so we've been consistently doing this together, which has been really great.
Cool. And how old is she?
She's 17.
Oh, right. So that is like, if I remember back to when I was 17, that was like eat all the things, all the junk
Yes.
food, everything your friends were eating. That was like a high sugar time for me.
Yes. And
So,
I would say she had very much, I mean, just like ice cream, you name it, all those things are like a lot without even realizing it. And now she's really committed to it. I mean, it's just second nature to her.
oh,
So
that is so awesome. Yeah. So what about the program itself? Like, how did the program help you?
I really wanted to work with you and Greg around this because I just, there's so many reasons, but particularly whenever you do anything, you are all in around the research, the understanding of it. You come at it with a lot of intentionality and, value driven around how you're going to approach something. So that feels very authentic and is very important to me. And you put so much energy and effort into it. So I really found the emails helpful, and particularly in the early stages, I watched so many videos and documentaries on this, particularly if I had I would say in the first 3 days, when you're like, oh, I'm, craving something, right? Where's the go-to for that? the more I did the research, and the links you provided were so helpful, and I've shared them with other people too. That was really transformational, because you made it very easy. You made it easy for me to not sort of go down the rabbit hole of falling back into my old habits, because your emails and the resources and the recipes were so helpful and so clear, and they were at the right time for me to get it.
Good stuff. Yeah, I'm so glad to hear that. You're somebody, as I've gotten to know you, you're a very strong woman. I've seen you, set goals for yourself and just crush them. I've seen you with the pain that you've had in your back. You have this mind over matter attitude that is so important, and I really admire it. So part of me wondered, well, why won't you just do this on your own? So why did you want to reach out to Symplicated for help in kicking sugar? Why didn't you just do it yourself?
Accountability. So important. I mean, I teach this too, and it's certainly, as in the work that I do, I'm all about accountability. And it's, yes, people can do things on their own, but when they're working with someone who really knows their stuff and is coming at it from the right place and that you can trust, you make more of a commitment. It's something that you're then taking very seriously, and you have that that support that you need. And I think that's really important when you're really trying to make a significant lifestyle change that's sustainable. Having an accountability coach, having the support of people who know what they're doing and that you can trust and that you respect is really important. So that's why I reached out to you.
Cool. Well, I'm so glad you did, and you're doing so well with this. One of the things that we hear a lot from people when we talk about going sugar-free, people just sort of have this, oh, I just couldn't do it. I love my whatever. I love my treat. I love my, and really, I mean, what we've learned too is that there is sugar in a lot of things, just about everything. And people do associate the sugary foods and the carbs with good times, right? And sometimes with tough emotions or good emotions. So really, like, was this difficult for you?
I think I was preparing myself as I was getting ready to work with you, and you were really helpful in that. It's like there's this readiness, preparation that you built into the front end of working with you that is really valuable and not to be underestimated. So again, why would you work with Symplicated? All of that, because you don't necessarily know what you're going to get yourself into. I found the first 48 hours difficult. But again, you had given tips around, clear things out of your kitchen, get some of those things out of your life, make sure you're drinking a lot of water. When you're feeling a certain way, go for a walk. So all kinds of tools and resources that you made available that helped me through, so I'd say those tempting moments, stress-free moments. I found that also going to the grocery store was a completely changed experience, where I would, and you'd see this in documentaries, but I basically had like 4 aisles that I could now go through. So I'm done my grocery shopping in 15 minutes. It's amazing. So I don't, it's just, there's so many aisles that are just laden with sugar. The first little while was harder because I had to look at things that I would naturally go to and taking the time to read the labels. And there were so many things that I thought, that can't have sugar in it. And it did. So, I think one of the statistics that you shared with me and that I've certainly learned is probably 80% of what's available for us to consume has sugar in it.
Yeah.
And there are like 50
absolutely.
different names for sugar.
Yes. Yeah. So many different names for sugar. So you do need to be aware of that as you're looking at the labels. And like you said, things that you wouldn't even expect it to be in. I mean, the food industry does use it because it's a cheap additive for them to be able to bulk up a product. Or to get people more hooked because of the sweetness of the product, getting to that bliss point, right? Yeah. So you are close to graduating from this program. And so once you do, what do you think? Are you going to stick with a sugar-free lifestyle? Are you going to dabble in it? What do you think?
100%. This is a lifestyle change for me, and I can't even imagine going back to anything else. I honestly look at this as an awakening in my life, and there's so much research that's available that you made easy for me to get access to that I wouldn't have stumbled upon had I not, been through this program with you. But now that I have the knowledge, I can't imagine going back and doing that to my body, whether it's to build up my immune system, reduce inflammation, avoid chronic disease, or having a fatty liver, or all of those things, and even just the weight. I mean, there's so many reasons. This is my life now.
This is the new you.
This is me.
Awesome.
Sugar free.
So let's talk for a minute about emotions, because one of the hardest things is that emotional connection that we feel to the sugar. And you know a lot about emotional intelligence. You teach this. You've got a whole program with your Authentica Academy where you teach people about it, and they can gain knowledge in this area and help to improve themselves as well. So how do you see emotional intelligence factor into the quitting sugar?
I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that we don't necessarily recognize the emotion that we have and how much we actually associate it with food and with eating. We sort of turn our brain off to that, and we do this self-soothing thing, because food, and particularly the different types of food, for example, if you're going for something sweet, and you want that sugary thing, could even be like, I'll use ice cream as an example, because that tends to be something that a lot of people struggle with, is, they miss ice cream. It's almost as if you have a wound, and this emotional wound that you want something cool and like creamy to put over top of, like a Band-Aid or a salve that's going to emotionally heal that wound. And so when you're there and you're like, you just in that moment, it triggers that emotional response without you even being able to connect the dots. That's what's really going on, as opposed to examining and saying, what's going on for me? And as you would say, what's your statement that you have been saying throughout this whole program?
Yeah. Sweetheart, what do you really need right now?
Exactly. So if you just, I say, step away from the fridge and that automatic response and say, sweetheart, what do you really need right now? And then be able to kind of walk through what happened and what would be the most loving thing you could do for yourself. It isn't going for that tub of ice cream.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it is so true. And I love the way you put that, because getting that break in the moment is the key, right? And then to be able to look at yourself and just say, yeah, this is not going to be the most healing thing for me or the most healthy thing for me. And so just taking that extra moment to figure out what is, instead of having those default reactions that send us to sugar over and over again.
And it might be, and you've shared this too, going for a walk. And it could be journaling. These are all things that I've done in the moment. I fantasized in the first few days, and I'm not an ice cream person, so it's it's kind of strange that I have that analogy. My daughter is; she loves it, but I craved a Score Blizzard, and I thought I might get that twice a year, and here I was, like in the first 48 hours, just like longing for this. And so I went for a walk, and I was journaling about why I wanted it, and that was so helpful because it really allowed me to get in touch with what was going on for me, to help me build that self-awareness and that connection to my emotions, that, I'm not going to feel even worse with the guilt of eating something that was so packed with sugar and so unhealthy for me.
Yeah, absolutely. So helpful, because, before we know it, we're heading towards the sugar again, and you don't even embark on that journey of discovering the emotions that are driving you. And that's a completely missed opportunity for people to even get to know themselves a little bit better. So not only are you adding the sugar and driving the addiction, but you've also missed that opportunity to dig a little deeper into yourself and your own emotions.
Exactly.
Yeah, so this is awesome. So what would you want to tell people who might be considering signing up for Symplicated sugar-free program?
I would say reach out to you and have a conversation, to connect with you and have a consult, just to be able to learn a bit more about it. And if it's helpful, to talk to people. I'm happy to be someone to chat with, or for them to watch this recording. But to do a little bit of research on, though, and maybe watch a documentary, just to gain some of the knowledge around it. But first and foremost, to have a conversation with you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's where a lot of great life changes start, or with a conversation, right? And we can, if I talk with you in a one-on-one consultation, we can talk about your reasons for wanting to do this, why now, and maybe go over some of the fears too that people might have, right, about signing up.
Exactly. And I think it's one of those things where everyone thinks they're so unique, and we are all, unique as an individual snowflake, but many of the fears and issues we have around making a change like this, you have been able to address. You have been
Mhm.
through it. Your entire program looks at the cycles of where people are at and when they're at them. So I really think that's helpful in terms of just calming people's anxiety around what this means. And even if, they fall off, the wagon and do have something, what are some of the tips and techniques that they can do to, reintroduce the change again and not to be so hard on themselves. So, I think it starts with having a conversation with you and then, doing some research.
Yeah, it all sounds terrific. So, yeah, you have had so many benefits to this, and you speak so well about it. And I've just been really impressed with your success and just the way you've taken this by the reins and absorbed everything that we've given to you within this program and just maximized it to the hilt. So, it's been such a pleasure working with you on this. I'm also going to link in to this video how people can reach you if they want to know more about emotional intelligence or some of the other things that you offer. You've got lots to offer people, and now with all your new mental clarity, you've got even more and more capacity for that.
More I can give back to serving the people that I have the privilege of working with. I just want to say thank you to you and Greg and to Symplicated for the program. It has been absolutely transformational, and I feel really blessed to have had the opportunity to work with you on this. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much.